Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here, of course, for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, episode 14. Yes. Right. And we are getting into the whole pillar
not man,
section
plural.
thing. Yes, plural. Yeah. And going to
Europe.
Italy.
Right,
specifically. But there's a bunch of them all over the world, potentially, right. And it's the idea that there are ancient sites like this,
yes,
where the masks were found, a lot of them. Yeah, and potentially these guys made the masks.
Right.
So, of course, JoJo has to go and stop them.
While gallivanting across the countryside.
Right, with potentially Speedwagon? Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, that could be pretty cool.
Come on, how could he not?
I mean, Speedwagon seems like also his Alfred and the ability that he
that's true.
Kind of is the his bro to go with him on all these things. But
how will he know what's going on if not for Speedwagon telling him?
Also, yes, I was going to say Speedwagon's ability to point out the truth of every situation that he's in through near perfect exposition.
Yep.
It'll be perfectly communicated to JoJo what he needs to do.
Do you think we'll come across the old Joestar Manor ruins?
I don't think we'll be going to England. I think that they're using this as a way to show off kind of the creativity of the art and stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
The people who are drawing this are getting the
Rocky does tend to be pretty good at that.
Yeah, so showing that scenery and stuff will be pretty cool. And it's also another opportunity for the show a different side of history in a different area.
Yes.
And this show is very much about putting a new spin on, real life history that we know about. So that extra twist makes it really fun. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this episode and see what happens. Rome. When in Rome.
That's right.
Yes. It's actually quite nice, yeah. Wait a minute.
Hold on a second.
Oh my gosh.
He's gonna have an interesting surprise the next morning.
What?
Is this literally like Dio 2.0?
This might be like... Wait a minute. Is this who he's supposed to meet?
Maybe.
Ha! Oh my gosh, no! He's gonna block it, perfectly. Oh my gosh!
Yep. He can use Hamon too! Mr. Caesar Zeppeli!
Yes! Whoa, you're kidding me!
Okay.
You're kidding me!
Alright.
That's his kid?
He even has the hat!
Oh my gosh!
Yes!
But he looks like Dio! Wait,
okay, so now they're back in the US.
The Speedwagon Foundation. Oh, yeah.
I love it. Wow.
Right, of course.
Naturally.
And they've been searching out for the mask. Yep.
That was a very advanced prosthetic for the 40s.
Yeah. Whoa.
Okay.
Dang. The points! Of course.
この野郎きっちりとぶちのめしてやる。無理だね。お前の波紋ではこの女の子にさえ勝てやせん。
The sass!
He's like, but I have a girlfriend.
Yes, just a little bit.
Both of them things. Yeah. What?
Whoa.
Okay.
Wow. He's really manipulative,
All
though.
right.
That's
Yeah,
kind of creepy.
That's true.
Ah. Something new.
Bubble launcher. Alright. Ah, soap.
Wow. Hamon conducts very well through liquid.
It does. But if he could defeat the Pillarman, why hasn't he already?
Wait, what? What the heck? What? The pigeon! Oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. Even
Yeah.
his mannerisms
I know.
are like Dio.
They're very
I have
much
a
like Dio.
I have a
It's a
theory.
continuation of the but it was I Dio meme.
No. His descendants.
Oh.
Remember who
That's
wed
right.
with who in order to make this?
Right, exactly.
努力するのは嫌いでめんどっちいし、俺の得意なカードで思いっきり踏んでくってやれ。おいジョジョ、なんだこれは。ちゃんと配らんか。ん？何のことだ。ちゃんと配れと言ったんだ。イカ様は許さん。あら。
Oh no, I've been caught. Whatever.
もっと貴様はこんなずる賢い手を使わなきゃこの俺に勝てんがな。じゃあてめえの靴にくっついてる鏡で見てんだよこれ。さあやるか否かもん。なんださこの野郎。
They're both so underhanded. I love it. Wow, they've been dicking around for 8 hours.
Wow.
When they should have been like figuring out how to get
the Pillarman
through this. Yeah. It's like, hey, don't mess up my hair.
ところでこの祖国の恋人は元気か？
ええ、まあそれがですね、来週ドイツに帰ったら結婚するんです僕たち。
本当かい？マンマミア、そいつはめてた。
Yeah, keep your eyes on the road.
What the?
Yeah. I was gonna say.
おい、ちゃんと前見て運転しろ。
Exactly.
ハンドルに頭こすりつけてるんじゃねえ。
And he gets sucked into it.
なんか音が。
Lean in closer.
Yep. Yep. He's dead.
Yeah.
まさかこいつ。ダメている。
GG.
紫外線の総体をもっと。
This music.
Oh.
Oh! And the blood's all over the. Oh, and brain matter. Yep, we gotta
Specifically
clarify
brain
that.
matter. Yeah.
So fabulous.
Now we know where Dio gets it from.
This music, oh my gosh.
It is good.
Just a bit.
This one doesn't seem to need to adapt.
Whoa. He's like dancing amongst them. What the heck?
Okay.
Oh!
Could have been worse.
No, now he's gonna absorb them all through the... Yep. Saw that coming.
Okay.
It's nice and efficient, just...
Yeah.
Now he's gonna awaken his brethren. Oh,
Masters. Okay.
Jeez.
おい、軍隊が警備しているんだろ？どこにいるんだ？どこにもいねえじゃんよ。静かすぎるぜ。お前がうるせえんだ。
おかしい。
Why is there blood everywhere?
我が軍の見張り番がいない。
何？
Yep. Ooh. They did. Yeah.
人間の側だ。
Dum dum dum.
なんてことだ。こいつらは目覚めている。逃げろ。マルカ。
No, you had a wife, a fiance. I mean, but oh, just walking.
No way.
Oh, buddy.
マルク。
No, he's dead.
シザー。マルク。
外は闇夜のようだな、ワム。はい、カズ様。これからいかがなされましょう。
当然、この世のいずこかにある
Redstone of
エイジャ
Aja.
の石石を探しに行くのだ。
Aja sounds familiar from what I remember.
エイジャの石石をこれにはめ込めば、石仮面は完成する。
Okay.
しかし、エシリス様。人間どもの世界は相当変化している様子。時間はある。
今はとりあえず、人間世界の変化ぶりを見学。
I like how they don't care about JoJo and Zeppeli and Speedwagon.
They really skipped leg day though, didn't they?
Not too much. Oh, they just absorbed him?
Kidding.
Wait, what?
おのれ、何をするか。
待てい、エシリシ。失礼を、カズ様。
What?
ワム、お前が自分の影に入られるのを極端に嫌い、無意識のうちに反射攻撃をしてしまうのを忘れておった。何しろ2000年前からな。主人に対する無礼を働きました。何なりと罰をお与えください。
I like this hierarchy bit. It's very interesting.
私はお前の今のような闘争の指揮を何よりも。
Oh, he's their attack dog.
お前の影に入った私が悪かったのだ。許してくれ、ワム。
These sound effects.
殺してくれ。早く僕。
Yeah, that's pain.
マルク。
Oh, and the blood soaking into...
だんだん痛みを。
Yeah, because he's in shock right now, so now it's starting to kick in the pain. Oh, right.
額に痛みが。
Yeah.
早く僕を殺してほしい、シーザー。
マルク。どうしようもねえ。この青年に対して何もしてやれねえ。この俺たちの無力さ。この行き場のない絶望感は。
So overwhelming, yeah.
シーザー。お前。
ありがとう。
Oh.
シーザー。
Is he taking his energy?
Possibly.
In the same way that Zeppeli
Right.
Gave his energy?
I could see that.
マルクはただの
I am curious as to what he did, though.
普通の人々。
I'm sure he didn't just, like, stop his heart or something, because that would have been
Right.
equally painful.
Well, at that point, he probably would have passed out. Been on the verge of passing out anyways.
Right. The pain being so much.
Well, and blood loss.
若者だった。シーザー。
Haha, the poses! Alright! Here we go!
Enemy of the enemy.
Yep.
肩をつけなきゃ。
Whoa.
They changed the ending song.
They changed the ending song. They gave us a new character who is Caesar Zeppeli.
Caesar Zeppeli,
Zeppeli's grandson. That's great. But you know what they did? I'm not letting go of this theory unless there's direct evidence to contradict it.
They made him look.
Exactly like Dio. I think it's the same eye color.
Yep.
He had some of the same mannerisms.
And even his first line was like the whole thing of like they're letting scum in here now and all that.
But when they showed the family trees, they intentionally showed only the Zeppeli portion of the bloodline. They didn't show who married who in order to pass down the Zeppeli bloodline. So
the question is, did Dio have any actual offspring, or did he would it work if he turned someone? Did he
survive? This is my crazy thought. Is the idea that Dio sunk to the bottom of the ocean, right? Right. There's a possibility that in his head state, he grabbed onto Jonathan's body in some way
and attached himself to it.
Okay. And basically he went specifically to Zeppeli because Zeppeli is now his perfect Hamon hybrid with himself, his own bloodline, JoJos and Zeppeli's, and he's basically gone or what have you.
Yeah, but the problem though is that if I love that idea, and I think it is something to
look forward into because there's too much uncanny similarities.
Yes, there totally is. But how do you handle the fact that he's the son of Zeppeli's son?
Right.
So where would Dio come into this?
I have no idea. I feel like if anything, Dio is a character that has to come back. Yes. So I've always been looking for that way.
And this is
a way for him to sort of come back. But one of the ways that they could be doing it is the idea that Dio is hopping bodies, essentially.
I could see that.
He hasn't got the full he was beaten. His powers of a vampire were lessened greatly. He doesn't have the pure immortal regenerative powers that he used to have.
Right.
Maybe he's been weakened to the point where he has to hop from body to body, and he's utilizing what he just did kind of with Hamon there in combination with maybe some vampiric effects. Because the idea is in JoJo's anything could happen, right?
Anything.
But the idea that Dio is gone forever just doesn't fly with me. He has to be back at some point.
The way they introduced Caesar Zeppeli.
Yes.
Is now okay.
It'd be a good twist, right?
Well, it would be a great twist.
It would be a great twist.
It would totally fit the meme. But Joseph is very different from Jonathan, right? So naturally, if they were doing a parallel with Dio in the same way that Dio was introduced and the kind of relationship they had, it would be something different because Joseph is so much different. And I think that,
I think that's a real possibility.
It might be reading into it a bit much, but
remember they were brothers, so to speak.
Exactly.
This could be the beginning of their brother friendship,
right?
But then you expected it was Caesar, but it was Dio, and that whole aspect of it could work because they build up maybe over the next 10 episodes, 20 episodes or so. They integrate them together and they really spend a lot of time, but then
and this is the other thing. It is a way to bring up a new villain basically other than the Pillar Men.
Early on,
right?
Yes.
Because the problem with having ever escalating stories, right?
True.
Is that where were these guys? Before.
Before. They have a natural excuse. They were sealed away as the ancient power that couldn't be killed.
Yes,
and we're still finding out that they can't really be killed.
Right, and it was already tied to the masks, so there was a natural progression for that. It's not like they were just pulling it up out of nowhere.
And we always wondered where did the masks come from?
Exactly.
And we also were thinking is there more than one mask? So they have a bunch of questions that are getting answered here.
Yep.
And it fits the ancient civilization, not necessarily aliens we thought, but some kind of superhuman being that was kind of the final evolution of humanity. I think someone said that these they are the perfect evolution, basically.
Right. But the thing is that then where does it leave off after that?
Where does it leave off after that?
And if this Caesar guy is actually Dio in some way, shape, or form,
in some crazy way,
then that would be the perfect way to continue it.
Yes. So all in all, we're watching you, Caesar Zeppeli.
And by
we're
the way,
watching you.
it would especially be a really cool way to have it go as far as villains, because we have yet to have a true villain that used Hammond. We had Strizo, but he didn't really know what he was doing. But
he did know what he was doing.
He did know what he was doing.
He wasn't a true villain,
right? Well, actually, he wasn't a true villain, and even at that point, he didn't really use Hammond because he was more relying on the vampire powers.
Right. He had studied Dio essentially enough to know that once he got the powers, he knew how to use them relatively effectively, but he's dealing with a natural, kid that has the passed down lineage of Zeppeli, which is interesting, Jacob. I want to bring that back into play here. Zeppeli merged his energies with Jonathan.
Yep.
So in a way, Caesar and Joseph, they are actually brothers in some way.
Okay, so
they're both descendants of the original Zeppeli.
That's true, and that would also mean that if Dio latched onto JoJo's body, he would also have a bit of Zeppeli, which would then explain why maybe he would try and insert himself into Zeppeli's life.
That's what I said. Yep, that's what I said earlier. I was basically saying that was he was looking to create that perfect hybrid. That was why he sought after Zeppeli and manipulated that in a specific way. I also feel like there might have been some kind of imagery connection where they were talking about how they were showing how Zeppeli's descendants and stuff all had like very specific hair color, different eyes, and the idea that he's the first green-eyed blonde Zeppeli in that timeline thing is like straight out of like every,
exactly.
There was some relationship switching things that came into play there.
Game of
Thrones and JoJo's reference. The seed is strong, Oh, who knows? But the aspect of having the Pillarmen be a race, not like a specific ancient being. Mm-hmm. So, like, the Pillarmen maybe dominated humanity at one point in the past.
Yeah.
But the idea of having them have their own hierarchy and culture and society and different kind of way they dressed and stuff that's inspired by ancient civilizations at the time, is the idea that maybe writing and all these great things throughout history that spurred humanity's advancement came from the Pillarmen. I like stories that do that, where they fill in blank spots in history because we didn't have the ability to record stuff at the time,
and maybe rewrite little bits,
and rewrite a little bit of things here or there. Yeah, it's kind of the thing that happened about 10 years ago when the National Treasure movies came out. They basically rewrote a little bit of U.S. history for the purpose of telling an interesting story, and it works because a lot of people know these aspects of history. But this is global, all kinds of different countries' history, so they could get into not just U.S. history, but English history like they did with Jonathan, but also history throughout the world now, because the Pillarmen are from tons of different places.
Now, so for that jewel thing, it's totes at the Vatican.
I mean, they had a little cross on it.
They had a little cross on it. It was in Rome.
Yeah.
So
it was in Rome.
Catholic Church.
It makes sense. Also, the Vatican and Catholicism and all the imagery involved there has a kind of ties to more ancient ways of looking at things. So it's a piece in history where the Vatican is not that old, like it's pretty new, but the things that it has inside it are usually a lot older because they're collectors of lore, and it seems like those are the type of people that Speedwagon would be actually in contact with. So Speedwagon, if they thought, wait, we need to find what they're talking about, he's like, I'm going to go speak to the Vatican.
I'm actually friends with the Pope.
Yeah, I'm friends with, the head cardinal or something of that area. That could be pretty interesting.
Now, okay, so
and then we could get holy warriors that fight against, the Pillarmen since like ancient times or some random crap like that. That would be awesome.
So, if the Pillarmen know about the Roman Empire, Right.
I don't think they do.
No, because they were talking about how the Roman emperor had the jewel.
Oh, so they're not that ancient.
So they're not that ancient. That means they're capped at 500 BC.
Yeah, they couldn't have been around. I mean, well, okay, they could have lived from the time of there all the way up to the Roman Empire, and that's when they were
sealed away until the Roman Empire. So that means we could definitely get some holy warriors, because maybe it was like the Vatican itself that actually sealed them away.
Right. Also, it ties in a little bit with the point at which vampire legends started to come about, because vampire legends were, bigger, popularized by the whole Dracula kind of stuff with Transylvania and all that.
When did that start?
That was around like the 1100s, or like it's a little bit into the medieval times. But
that does tie in with the Roman Catholic Church,
right? But there have been it ties in with the Roman Catholic Church. But there have been earlier historical things of the times during the Dark Ages where there were people that, like, they say, that went around and fed on people, because it was the Dark Ages, so a lot of crazy myths and stories happened there. Imagine if they're going to tie that in with the Pillarmen's basically reign in some way.
That would be cool.
Like the Pillarmen caused the fall of the Roman emperor or something.
Oh.
I mean, that might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a bit too late, because that was mainly just from moving capitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we don't know too much about Italy history in particular. Like that Gate of Truth thing sounds really cool, and I want to look that up, see if that is a legit thing. But them having Caesar Zeppeli be this kind of crazier, ladies' man, aggressive, very aggressive character introduction, it was just handled very well.
Because this all was one episode.
Yeah!
Like, one episode, they've already found the bad guys that have awakened, and now it's like, okay, we're going to have to fight them. But
They brought in
a new character.
Who's obviously going to be around for a decent amount of time.
Yes, going to be around for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then they brought in another character, gave him a little bit, and then killed him off.
Yeah, that was horrible. I
know JoJo's is very over the top, so they can kind of do these sorts of things because that's their style. It would feel very weird if another show that wasn't JoJo's, that didn't have that sort of theme, was that over the top and did things that
JoJo's is consistently inconsistent in how ridiculous it is, but also it's consistently over the top in specific ways to where we can kind of get swept into it emotionally, to where I actually felt something for this guy that I knew wasn't a main character.
Even though it was like they gave him the token one line of like, I'm going to get married, actually.
Right, he's like, I am an average Joe in a world that might not really be that morally good for the people I've signed up with. He was kind of a Nazi, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he was a German soldier, but he wasn't necessarily, he
wasn't necessarily one of like the SS.
But,
but that's one of the things that I think is pretty cool, because that shows that at the very least, JoJo's is not going to do like sort of the things that they know people will just be like generally agree with, having developed characters that are actually pretty cool people that are.
Right, you can tell
with Germans during World War II.
Right, you can tell that at specific points in JoJo, they overemphasize specific things for comedy, and then they'll overemphasize other things because they actually want you to take it semi-seriously.
Right,
and I think that character of Marcus?
Yes,
Marcus?
It was something Marcus.
I think it was something like that. Yeah, he was kind of forgettable in terms of
I know that
the name,
similar to Marco in Attack on Titan.
Yes,
and he died in kind of the same way.
He did. That was funny, but. As juxtaposed by the two German soldiers who were looting up the girls in Mexico, it's like, okay, that was clearly for comedy, and so they made them disgusting and ugly and lecherous looking.
Yeah.
And they were kind of saying Nazis are disgusting in that, in a way. And in this, they're being like, oh, hey, by the way, Nazis were people.
Yeah.
And I know that's a very, controversial thing to talk about. Yeah, even more so,
Nazis were actually people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But JoJo's bringing up this whole thing of, the Pillarmen being these super people. I wonder if, looking forward at this, the idea that they can't kill them, there might even be some hope for at least one of them.
One of the Pillarmen?
Yeah.
I could totally see that, because the way this seems to be going, considering how, like, okay, Caesar Zeppeli, right?
Right.
They didn't just get rid of Zeppeli's character. They, in a sense, recycled it. And potentially...
In a very clever way.
In a very clever way, and potentially Dio, too.
Potentially, yeah.
I get the feeling this cast isn't really ever going to get smaller. There's all those people, and you can tell who they are, where these are main characters, even if they're side characters.
Right.
And in some way, shape, or form, they are going to live on and not be removed from the story. Because it's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Right,
and
because
bigger.
the story is about legacy. We've passed on the legacy from Jonathan to Joseph.
Right.
The question is, how long will Joseph's story go to the point where he is like the main character now forever, or he's going to again pass down his legacy
again,
and therefore people like Speedwagon, people like Caesar potentially, and even potentially one of the Pillarmen. I like the idea of having a Pillarman that comes out of his slumber and goes, wait, the world is different. And maybe they are the curious learner. They're the ones that aren't necessarily going to go on a rampaging killing spree. Because it could also be Sant Viento. Sant Viento?
Because they did they established that he's still alive.
Yeah.
And contained.
Yes.
Right? And they also made sure to have, this was from the mouth of Speedwagon, so it is true. It is the word of God.
Yes.
That Sant Viento didn't attack them until they attacked him.
Right. The point of saying that these Pillarmen are evil is kind of the simple way of looking at things, but they also come from a time potentially where they just fed on humans. And I know that's pretty evil, but the idea that they might not know necessarily what the difference is between feeding on an animal and feeding on a person.
Right. It's kind of like if you have a tiger and they'll eat an animal because that's what they need to do. Not that,
at least we know none of the Pillarmen are vegans in this regard. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's the character that ends up,
right. The vegan Pillarmen. I don't eat people, so I'm pretty good. But that'll be interesting to see. Like, let's say the Pillarmen succeed in their goals. They get this jewel, which gives them the ultimate superpower mask, and this Lord Cars or what have you, like, fuses with it to become the quintessential
Berserker
human, like, what?
Berserker?
That was bad. But maybe he ends up basically trying to absorb all the other Pillarmen, and one of the Pillarmen's like, yeah, screw you, I don't serve you.
Yeah,
like,
I see that happening. I thought that's what they were doing with that little bit where, like, he walked in the guy's shadow and he attacked him or something like that.
And instinctively attacked him or something.
Yeah, I thought that was something where it's like they're trying to absorb each other.
Potentially.
Because if you think about it, if Pillarmen absorb vampires, which absorb people, it's the absorption of what the
it's the multiplicative effect.
Well, right, but they're absorbing things that they would probably consider to be lesser beings, right?
Sure.
In order to gain strength, right? So they absorb them en masse. So what would it be like for them to absorb a Pillarman who would have essentially already absorbed many vampires and by extension probably thousands of humans?
Yeah. Do they reproduce? I'm sure they do.
Probably.
But one of the things I've noticed is that they're called Pillar Men.
Right, so where's the Pillar Women? Are they born from stone?
Or do they reproduce asexually? Are they so evolved to be perfect that they're both male and female?
They just get a rock and shape it.
No, the idea that if they absorb, could they essentially like clone themselves? Like, could they export some of their own matter to create something? It might end up being a lesser,
right, and
a lesser pillar
until it absorbs, on its own and stuff.
We shouldn't assume the genders of the pillar.
Well, I mean, it's pillar. It says Pillar Men, so I mean, I'm all for Pillar Women, but
right. But for some reason, we call humanity. Yeah. Anyhow, we're not getting into that. Yeah. But this was a great episode.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Probably
so much fun.
Probably one of the best Joseph episodes where we've seen him just goofing off and having fun, because the idea that they are trying to like one up each other, him and Caesar, is like spelling out this kind of childish rivalry, but you can take it almost a little bit too seriously because you wonder, wait, what if this is foreshadowing the eventual Dio-Joseph rivalry?
But to combat that
with the comedy,
I put a Hammond stuffed pigeon in her mouth while she was choking.
It's so crazy. Oh man, it's a lot of fun too. I feel like JoJo's really takes a little bit of that serious edge off of us in a good way.
Yes. Sometimes we do get a bit too serious.
Right.
Oh boy.
Oh man. Well, if you want to watch the next JoJo's reaction, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon's early access. Get on that, check out our Discord, and interact with us about storytelling and what have you. And yeah, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.